everyone, welcome back to Pommyinoz. We're just about to crack 550, so if you are new round here, please drop a like, please drop a sub. It means the world to me. Give it a share on your socials. Let everyone know Poms loves sport. If you are coming back, welcome back. If you are new, good day to you. I'm the Pom, and what we're doing today is we're going to have a look at players that I think are going to have big years for you. Let's, without any further ado, get straight into it. So we're going to start off Adelaide Football Club. Now, recently people have been saying, Pom, you hate Adelaide. I don't hate Adelaide, it's friendly banter. It all stems from, you know, we've had some wonderful trades between our two great clubs. We've had the Menzel trade, which didn't go very well. We had the Stockers pick swap. And for some reason, out of all the Victoria clubs, Adelaide always gave probably the best and most brutal banter. So it's something I carry on, but it is something that I do enjoy watching Adelaide play. I enjoy watching all teams play, and I actually think Darcy Fyke is going to have an absolute wonderful year. I think he's going to be a real breakout year this year. I think he's going to really cement himself as one of the top forwards in the competition. I love how he plays. He doesn't look as big as he plays. When you watch him, he looks like on the field. He looks like he's nothing, but he makes up in strength. He's so strong. He's so good overhead. He's a crafty player. I really do see him kicking a lot of goals and really kind of carrying on that mantle, taking that mantle from Tex, where for the last few years it's been Tex needs to kick goals. I think Darcy's going to really kick on, and I think he's going to be an absolute huge player, and I predict he has a really big year for the Crows, and I think he really brings a good time feel factor, because you want South Australian football to be flying. Particularly you want that Port Adelaide rivalry in the 8, like you want, like, you know, your Carlton, your Essendon, your Pies and your Richmonds in the 8. Kind of it makes something happen. Brisbane, I think Cam Rayner is really going to start showing it. Now, I remember when he came into the system, it was the most mad thing I've ever heard. 2017, Cam Rayner, he's mini Dusty after the year Dusty had. Thought it was absolutely verging on madness and chaos. But I do actually think the last couple of years we've started to see things for him. I do think this year he's really going to go up that gear and really announce himself. I really do see when he's rolling through the midfield and then resting across the half forward. I think this is the year that he really does kick on. And he is a really exciting player. I really like watching Cam Rayner play. Someone that I really enjoy. And I think he's someone that if you go away from the top 4 players at Brisbane, I think he's someone who's going to really kick into that top 5 player category very quickly. Carlton Football Club. Who do I think is going to have a big year? I'm going to go with Zac Fisher. And I'll tell you for why. Carlton lack a small forward. We've got Corey Durden, who's just come through in the draft. He's a really exciting prospect. We've got Eddie Betts, but they're like at the start of their career and way towards the end of their career. I think Zac Fisher really showed something in his first year as a small forward last year. This is his first pre-season. He's got the skills, he's got the foot candy, he's got the goal sense. I think this is the year that we finally have a small forward, because let's be honest, we haven't had a small forward properly since Mattyrao left. So that was a long time ago. And okay, we've got Eddie Betts now, but Eddie Betts is always going to be a stopgap. He's not going to be there when we start to come to fruition. So I think Zac Fisher will definitely have a breakout year, and I think he'll have a decent year as well. I think we'll start to see a small forward kick snags and really complement our forward line. Really excited about Zac Fisher's year. Collingwood. Now you could say I've probably cheated with these next two, but I've got reasons. I'm going with Jordan De Goey. Now, I think De Goey doesn't get enough respect in the AFL media for what he is. I genuinely do. I think if you look at Dustin Martin and you look at Jordan De Goey, they're kind of they're in the same species of player. And I think De Goey has the potential to be that kind of impactful Jordan De Goey player, Dustin Martin type player. I love the way when I see him rotate on the ball a little bit. I'm hoping to see a bit more of that this year as well. And I think De Goey is a superstar for me. Like, I don't use the S word a lot, but to me, De Goey, regardless of what people think of him, because I think a lot of it is media driven of why people don't respect him. But I like him as a footballer. You've got to remember that. You judge these players as footballers. And I think he's a stellar footballer. And I think he's going to have a really, really good year. I think he's going to really take the competition by storm and announce himself in that category. I don't think he's announced enough in the category by certain outlets in the media. But I think this year he's going to have one of them years where he's banging the door down and people can't ignore it anymore. Absolute mercurial talent. The kid can change the game on the turn of a needle. Superb player. And I think he will have a really big year this year. Essendon Football Club. It's tough to talk about Essendon fans. Players with positivity. But I'm going to go with Jake Stringer. I don't think Jake has brought enough of Jake to Essendon. And I think this year, this is the year that he's going to have to do it. I think you look at some of their list management decisions. They aren't screaming out with tall forwards. We know Jake plays tall. We know that they often deploy him in that position. And he does a marvellous job. I think this year, though, I think he's going to enjoy that makeup of the team. I think he's really got all the ingredients for a Jake Stringer to do Jake Stringer things. He's another one like Goey. He's a mercurial player, X-Factor player, someone that you really enjoy watching, someone that when I flick the telly on and Essendon are playing, I'm looking out for him. And I think Stringer's going to have a big year this year. I think he's going to have a real big year. I think it's not going to be as foregone as a lot of people think with teams and ladder positions. I think it's going to be very nip-tuck where people finish. And I think Jake Stringer's going to have a huge year. Just got a gut. Don't know why. Just sense it. Fremantle. Now, I think they've got a lot of players in that list that don't get talked about enough. You got your Ryans and stuff like that. Now, this guy got talked about a lot last year. He had a stellar year. Caleb Sarong. I think he's going to go up another level. I think we're going to see like a Sam Walsh factor with him. I think he's going to get infinitely better. And I think the system that Fremantle have just allows it. And I think Sarong's really going to announce himself as a top player. I love what he does. I love what he's about. He's elusive. He's clever. He finds the pill. All the things that kind of are inherent of superstar players. And I've used that S word again, but I really do like Caleb. And I think he's going to have an absolute bonza year for these guys. I just think he's going to be absolutely stellar. Don't know why. It's just a gut. He's someone that I'm looking out for this year. Geelong. Now, I think you're allowed to use this. I'm going to go Jezza Cameron. And the reason is he had a piss year, did he, at GWS? And I just think he's going to have a really big year. I think it's going to be really intriguing to put, for me, a guy that is one of the most damaging key forwards in the competition with a key forward that is also damaging but also brings his partners into playing Tom Hawkins. And I think it's set up for Jezza to kill it. I mean, Geelong have rolled the dice for one more time at this flag, and Jezza's got to perform, and he's someone that I'm going to look forward to seeing. I love Jeremy Cameron. I think when he's firing, you want your best players in the comp to fire. For me as a sports fan, if I take the counter aesthetic out of it, as an AFL fan, I want the best players in the comp to be performing. Then we go to Gold Coast. Mattyrao is my pick here. Now, I think I can count him because he showed enough in the few games he played that it makes it exciting. He's definitely someone that I'm super excited about seeing. And he's a mercurial talent in the goal-kicking mids. These are starting to become the new breed of player. They are as rare as rocking horse poo at one time. But Mattyrao is a solid footballer, and I can't wait to see him. And you're kind of just waiting for Gold Coast to go up the ladder, aren't you? And Mattyrao is that player that does that. I think what they've built at Gold Coast, if they can keep it together, is super exciting for the competition because we want a strong comp. We don't want whipping boys, and I think Gold Coast are no longer the whipping boys. They're building something exciting. GWS. He had a tough year last year, and I've given this guy personally a lot of stick because he broke my heart when he re-signed, and that's Stephen Connelly. I love Stephen, let's be honest. He's a very good footballer. I thought he had a real tough year last year transitioning into the captaincy role. We know that affects players for some reason. Extra pressure. And Stephen looks like the type of person who puts a lot of pressure on himself. I think he's going to really fall into that role this year. I think he's going to go, I'm going to see him to the best. GWS need that because they've got a superstar midfield. Superstars all around the ground. And now they're losing old Cameron. It's going to be a lot of onus on these players that do pinch hit in the forward line. I think Himmelberg and Finlayson are more than able to compensate that because he didn't perform last year. But I think you're going to be looking at Stephen Connelly. Can he bring them one goal a game, games that we know him for? And I think he will. And I'm looking forward to seeing him. Hawthorn Football Club. Now, this guy I love, and I'm a big fan. You'll notice here we're kind of forward heavy as well at times. And that's Mitch Lewis. Big fan of Mitch Lewis. Love the way he moves around the ground. I love the way he finds space. He attacks the ball. And I think he's going to have a real big year. I think he's going to start to break out. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's about. Hawthorn are an interesting one this year because you can never discredit them. Because Clarkson's a genius and there's no getting away from it. And I think Mitch suits what they're trying to build. I really do. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. Melbourne. Ben Brown. I thought this was an easy one. And I tried to say to myself, Palmer, you're cheating. But I think this is huge. Because I think when I look at Melbourne, they've lacked a genuine key forward. Genuine target up top. Who is prolific. And I know Tom McDonald and I know Wiedemann. They're all right. Don't get me wrong. They're not world beaters, but they do a job. Ben Brown's a different league. If you can get him the pill, he can make something happen. And I'm super excited. I think he will fit into Melbourne like a hand in a tightly worn glove. It'll be absolute. I think he'll just fit in from day one, and I'm excited about seeing him play. And it's another thing that I'm excited about in the season because you want, as a Pom, you love player movement. We love a transfer or a trade as it's called over here, and I'm super excited. North Melbourne, I think Cam Zurhaar, he falls to me in the Goey category. He falls into the Rayner category. I think he's going to have a big year. I think it's set up for him. I think I could have gone Larky here as well. I think he'll have a big year, but I just think Cam Zurhaar, he's got something. I don't know what it is, but he's got something that makes me watch him. He's an excitement machine. He's a little mongrel. He's got heart. He's got tenacity. I just think he's going to have a big year for North, and I'm super excited about seeing him play. And yeah, he's just one of them players, isn't he? He's one of them players to me that, you know, you can see kids having Zurhaar jerseys on the way to school. He just reminds me of one of them players. He's got something about him. He's got that je ne sais quoi it takes to be elite. Port Adelaide, I'm going with Conor Rose now. Not saying Rosie had a bad year last year, but I didn't think it was as good as Sam Walsh's. And I've got a feeling that Rosie and Walsh are going to be compared throughout their career because of Kane Corns. I just think Rosie's going to go up a gear this year. I don't think he was always 110%. And I think Rosie, for me, when he gives 110%, him and Walsh are going to be the best two out of that draft class. And I'm looking forward to it. I just think Rosie's going to improve. He's started to oscillate a bit more through midfield. And I really am expecting a little bit more from him. And I'm super excited about what we're going to see. Because you want these young players. I said it last year. I said it in their first year. There was a lot of players in the draft that I was looking at and going, this is exciting. Because in 10 years' time, we're going to talk about these players and say we were there when these two roamed around. Super excited, and I think he will have a big year. Richmond Footy Club. Going with Shaun Bolton, and I'll tell you for why. This is a weird one. I thought last year when we saw him in the midfield, I was super excited. He was starting to get 20, 30 touches with ease. We're going to have the longer quarters back. I'm excited about this development. I love the way Richmond, reinventing the wheel, which to me is impressive. It's impressive having these strings to the bow. It makes them even more an intriguing prospect. And I think Bolton looked good in the midfield. He's got a bit of pace about him. He gets the ball in early, which really does suit their forwards. And I think he's going to have another big year. I think he's really going to rise. And to me, without a shadow of a doubt, Richmond are the team to beat again this year. And it's going to be exciting. St Kilda, no doubt about this. I love this boy. And I'm not just saying this because my wife's a St Kilda fan, but Max King is something else. Man, something else. Athletic, strong. I saw pictures of him. My wife's been raving about it in pre-season. Kid looks buff, man. Looks buff. He's going to have a big year. Mark my words, he's going to have a big year. And I love Max King. Love him. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. And the draw they've got, they need him to go big. And I think he will. I think he's a handful. And I think it's going to be an exciting time because he's put on a bit of that muscle that... I think that's what players got the better of him last year who did. Not many did. Let's remember that. and I think that little bit of muscle's going to help. I think he's the modern day forward, and it's exciting, and I think he's going to have a huge year for St Kilda. Sydney, this was again a cheat, because I could have gone a few. I could have gone Blakey. You could have gone, you know, simple Tom Papley. He needs sort of like a 40 year. You could have gone Buddy. You could have gone Parker. No right or wrong answer, but I'm going with Isaac Heaney, and that's just because personal selfishness that I love watching Heaney play. And he was injured a lot last year, and I think he's going to have a big year. I love Heaney playing. I think he's got it all, whether it's in the midfield or off half forward. Kid's a jet. Kid's a jet. And I think he'll have an absolute phenomenal year this year, and I think he will be one of the top performers in the league, especially in the fantasy format if you do that. I've got a big draft coming up today with my boys. West Coast Eagles. Now, I said this last year. Now, everyone knows I've probably got a soft spot for West Coast a bit too much. It's something that I got criticised last year for. Did pick them to win the flag, and I picked this bloke to win the Brownlow. I thought he was going to go off at West Coast. Had the feeling. Just thought, you know, he's in a superstar midfield. He doesn't have to do the hard yards. And he didn't. He did towards the end of the season, but I don't think he was as good as I thought he was going to be. But I think this year's the year, my friends. Tim Kelly's going to go off. Love Kelly. Absolutely rate him. If you don't like Tim Kelly, you don't like football. Kid's got it all. Supreme footballer. Someone that he's a bums off seat footballer, and I'm excited about seeing him, and I can't wait to see him play. And I think he'll have a big year, and I think he'll take out their BNF, and I think he'll be a top 3 in the Brownlow. We're going big with this one. And finally, the Bulldogs. And I'm going with Tim English. I love Tim English, and I think Tim English is really going to announce himself, and I said it last year. I think he's the guy who's going to break the Grundy Gorn stranglehold. And I think this year's the year. This year's the year that he knocks one of them out, top 2 statistically. We'll probably go with super coach points or fantasy. I think he'll break that. Because I'm sick of hearing set and forget Gorn and Grundy. I think English is the one this year, and I'm expecting it. I'm really impressed with his development. Really impressed with it in the last couple of years. He's got something. I like Tim English. He plays football the right way, and he's an exciting prospect. And it's something that I follow. I like the doggies. Don't get me wrong. Love watching them, but I think Tim English is going to have an absolute big year. And I'm predicting big things from the doggies, and I think this is why. I think he's one of them who's just going to go, boop. They're my list of 18 players that I think are the ones to watch, who are going to have really big years, and I wouldn't say breakout years, but I think big years, bigger than normal. Let me know in the comments, who've you got, because you all support different clubs. Who are you watching? Tell me who to keep an eye out in your games. Love learning about your sides and love hearing your views. Drop them in the comments. Till next time, and I hope you had a great Christmas. Pom out.